أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم انطلقوا إلى ما كنتم به تكذبون انطلقوا إلى ظل ذي ثلاث شعب ولا يغني من اللهب إنها ترمي بشرر كالقصر كأنه جمالة صفر ويل يومئذ للمكذبين. Second year class lecture number 11, and today's lecture importance level, you can imagine that is about a structure which is going to remove your main waste product, nitrogenous waste component. Especially I was talking to you in the last session that I will speak about a structure which is present in our body and doing such functions, absorbing first of all everything. First of all, it will absorb everything, mean that it will absorb nitrogenous waste component, it will absorb the useful products, it will absorb the amino acid, it will absorb the glucose, it will absorb the fatty acid, it will absorb the glycerols. But later on, it will give back the useful products back to the blood, and harmful products like nitrogenous waste component, that will be only be released. Even the water molecules which should come out from the body, that will not come out. That water molecules that should come out of the body according to nephron, but that will be absorbed according to requirement of the body. That's the creator created the balance by producing antidiuretic hormone, ATH, they aldosterone, and they arrange in such a fashion that whatever your body in hypotonic condition, mean that you consist of more water, less solute, what will happen? The water concentration will be absorbed less by ADH. But when you are in a hypertonic concentration mean that you have less concentration of the water, solute concentration is more. What will happen? The concentration of the water molecules will be absorbed by antidiuretic hormone. If we go back to show the structure of the kidneys, because that was the point I wanted to show, that is much important structure, much important structure in collaboration with the liver. They both are friends, they both are brothers. Liver will not work, the kidneys will not work, the liver will not work. You already know what the liver did. The liver changed the ammonia to urea by urea cycle, and the key product was being made in the factory of liver. Now you have to transport the urea from the one house to another house. One house is the kidney, another house is the liver. How you will move? By circulatory system. You are getting importance of circulatory system as well. How why the blood flow in arteries and the veins, why the heart pump the blood to all parts of the body to transport the molecules, not only oxygen, to transport. Look at the urea being transported from one house, liver, it is going to heart, and heart is pumping to the kidney. We'll go back to the kidney, because the point I wanted to show, look at the outer part of the kidney. This is the outer part of the kidney, cortex, and this is the inner part of the kidney. This is the medulla. I show again, hold on, because I have to mention once again, sorry. This is the cortex I will label now. I am labeling the cortex. This is the area cortex, the outer area. The pyramid shape are not the part of the cortex. The pyramid shape, these are the medulla now. These are the medulla. Now the cortex and the medulla. This is the medulla, this is the cortex. This is cortex, this is the medulla. Middle part is the medulla. Cortex and the medulla both are important. Cortex and the medulla, they both are important. Why they are important? Because they consist of nephrons. And they consist of nephron, important structure which is going to remove nitrogenous waste product from the body. And that is the main part of the kidney which is going to remove the nitrogenous waste component from the body. So look at the structure which I just wanted to show, the nephron structure I will teach you later on. I'm talking about the kidney. This is the kidney part, outer part. Once again I have to show the cortex and then the medulla. then the medulla. Now I will tell you what is the artery which is entering towards the kidney, which is supplying the oxygenated blood. Renal artery. You have to understand one point, because when you will study the nephron, which is the unit cells in the cortex and the medulla, then all arteries will be involved. Look at the renal artery. Renal artery is involved. Renal artery, red color, is moving the supplying the blood to oxygenated blood. Renal vein is coming back. But I will tell you, renal artery is not the main blood vessel which is supplying, it is not the main blood vessel which is inside the kidney. In the inner side, it changes interlobar. At nephron level, it changes into acrotic. Then it changes into interlobular artery, then it changes into the interlobular vein. Interlobular vein goes acrotic once again. Acrotic goes to interlobar vein. Interlobar vein enter into renal vein. So this is a quite circular and tricky pathway which I have to teach you in the next chapters. Interlobular. Look at the interlobular artery will form, but here important blood vessels are efferent and the efferent, which I will discuss in the nephron. Look at the part of the renal artery goes and it divided into interlobar and the further arteries which I have to discuss, and the efferent. Renal vein bring back the blood. It opens into ureter. Ureter opens into urethra. Urethra open into urethral or urinary bladder. Urinary bladder, where sometimes the stones are present, in the ureter, calcium oxalate stones, and then opens into urinary bladder. Urinary bladder opens into urethral orifice. So go back to this structure is of the kidney. This is a section, longitudinal section. When you will cut any organ by cross section, that is by this way. This is the cross section. By which way? By horizontal way. Yes, this is a horizontal way. When you will cut any organ by this way, vertical, when you make graph by the x-axis, this is a y-axis. When you will cut by x-axis, this is the cross section. Cross section is called the transverse section. You have to cut the kidney by longitudinal section. Then you will be able to see the inner part of the kidney. So inner part of the kidneys are visible. One is the cortex. One is the medulla. These 2 points I am highlighting. I am highlighting this cortex. I am highlighting this one. Why I am highlighting these 2 parts? Reason is that because they consist of nephrons, and nephron is functional unit of the kidney. Important key point, significant point. Not structural unit. Not structural unit. Of course, when I was teaching you nervous system, I was telling you neuron is a structural and the functional unit of the nervous system. Here in this case, I am not talking about nephron is the structural and the functional unit of the nervous system. I am talking about nephron is the functional unit of the nervous system. Nephron is the functional unit of the nervous system. So nephron is the functional unit of the nervous system of the excretory system, in the sense, because this area, which I just want to mention if you are watching, this is the cavity, and this is the cavity is called renal pelvis. And in the renal pelvis, what is going on in the renal pelvis? In the renal pelvis, which is the structure, which is the gap in the kidney in which nephrons are not present, and the nephrons are not present in this cavity. In this cavity, the nephrons are not present. That's why you cannot say that nephron is the structural and the functional unit of excretory system. Of course, neuron is complete structural and the functional unit of nervous system, because nervous system, each part, either brain, either spinal cord, either peripheral nervous system, all neurons, they are composed of the neurons, but the kidney central part. This part is a cavity called renal pelvis. Why? All nephrons which are filtering the blood, they are entering the liquid, mean urine, into this cavity. The point I was telling you, which I have to explain in the structure of nephron, this part will remove urine, nitrogenous waste component, and useful components like amino acids, like glucose, like the fatty acids, like the glycerols. But fortunately, these all useful products go back to kidney here, go back, which I will tell you nephron, because this part is not completely understood without structure of nephron. There are small cells and each nephron is the word. If you will study the structure of the nephron, proximal part, distal part, the renal tubules, the upper Henle's loop, upper descending annulus loop, ascending annulus loop, the distal part, the Bowman's capsule, the glomerulus, the efferent arteriole, vasa recta, peritubular capillaries, aldosterone, ADH. These all things I have to explain. Fibrous capsule, renal corpuscle, renal tubule, these all things I have to explain. These all names will be concerned with just small cell here, just small cell here, just small cell here. Where present here, where present here, the small cell present. This small cell is called the nephron. This small cell is called the nephron, and this nephron is the functional unit of the kidney. This nephron is the functional unit of the kidney, and this nephron as a functional unit of the kidney that will excrete, that will remove the urine from the blood and like useful components. But nephron quality is that it will give back the useful component, and useful component will go back to the blood. So these are the just part of the kidneys, just not the part of the nephron, because 50% kidney, 50% nephron, that make the excretory system. This is the renal artery. You know, I was talking about renal artery, interlobar arteries, the interlobar veins. I was talking to you, and this is a medulla once again. This is a cortex. They both consist of nephron. Nephron are of two types: cortical. The nephron present here, cortical nephrons. The nephron present here, these are the medullary nephron, medullary. One name of the nephron I am talking about, which is more important, juxtamedullary nephron, JUXTA medullary, juxtamedullary nephron. What is the juxtamedullary nephron? The nephron with long loop of Henle, with long Henle, loop of Henle, and they are basically cortical nephron because they are present in the cortex, and their tube goes into the medulla. I will teach you nephron when you will see the second part of the nephron consists of long tubes. These tubes are quite long and they are present in the medulla. They are increasing the length of the medulla, and that will be a medullary nephron. They will go into the medulla as well. So cortical nephron, the medullary nephron, some cortical nephrons are juxtamedullary nephrons because they are going. This is a simplest excretory system because this is nephron is a complex system, which I have to teach you in the next session. Kidney opens into renal artery, ureter. It will open into kidney, opens into ureter. Simplest way to explain the excretory system, which I am going to tell you. What will happen? The point ureter opens into urinary bladder, and urinary bladder opens into urethra. Urethra open into urethral orifice. So this is the, you can see the part which I just wanted to show you, ureter, and ureter is there, and if you will see this diagram, you will be able to understand the point I just wanted to show you. If you see the simple diagram, okay, visible to you? I magnify this one, yes. The kidneys open into ureter, ureter opens into urinary bladder, and urinary bladder opens into urethra. And renal tubules and the Bowman's capsule and efferent arterioles, these are the parts of the nephron which we'll discuss in the next session. Slide I just wanted to show you, and that slide is very important, which I just want to discuss with you. Some slides which I just wanted to discuss with you, and these are the slides like that. Nephron, two type of nephrons. Once again I will tell you, one is a cortical nephron, and one is a medullary nephron. So cortex and medulla, you understand. And now I will want to show you that diagram once again because I just want the indication which is very necessary. Yes, I will be able to indicate now. So this is a kidney, this is a ureter, this is a urinary bladder, and then urethra. Urethra is not the opening, this is the tube after the urinary bladder, and then the last opening which you are watching, that is the urethral opening, urethral orifice. So we go back to the topic once again. The kidney, the outer part is called the cortex, the inner part is called the medulla, and the middle part is called as the renal pelvis, where the urine will go. Now the structure of the nephron is integral part, because that structure will remove the nitrogenous waste component, and that structure will explain each thing about how the urine will come out, and how the useful products will go back. This was the renal tubule I was talking about. This is a efferent. Two words in this lecture you will understand, the last words which I am speaking now. Efferent arterioles. So this is a one efferent arteriole is going into the part. This is a efferent. It is going into a network of the capillaries. These network of the capillaries, red color, called glomerulus. What I am teaching you, the structure of nephron, where the nephron is present in the cortex and the medulla. Where is the Henle's loop? This is the Henle's loop. Where is the renal tubule? This all part of the nephron is called renal tubule, because it consists of long tube, and that is due to increase the surface area to absorb the nitrogenous waste component and to give back the useful component back to the blood. Where are the blood vessels which will absorb? The reabsorption will take place. Red color, blue color. Red color arteries, and these are the veins. The attitude of the arteriole is quite different, because normally arterioles changes to capillaries. Here what happens, the arteriole, this is a efferent arteriole, look at, this is a efferent arteriole. It goes into glomerulus, and glomerulus are the capillaries. These are the unique capillaries with the unique pores. I will tell you why the pores are present more, why the specific structures are present in these capillaries, I will tell you. But after these capillaries should be venules, that. Then vein come normally, that is the rules of the circulatory system. But here the circulatory system deviate from the original track. What is the deviation? After the glomerulus, it changes into efferent arteriole. Efferent arteriole mean after arteriole capillary is formed, after capillary efferent arteriole formed. This is the reason that this deviation of circulatory system in the nephron will take place. And what happens, this efferent arteriole changes into two type of the capillaries. One is a vasa recta, one is a peritubular. The Henle's loop surrounding capillaries are vasa recta, and here in the renal tubule, that is the peritubular. I will tell you again, don't worry, because this is the two part. There are two parts here in the nephron. There are two parts, and if you will see the nephron once again, the structure, I just wanted to show three parts, because function we will discuss in the next session. The structure I am discussing only, I am labeling something. Glomerulus, efferent arteriole, peritubular capillary, the vasa recta, the first part of renal tubule, proximal part, Henle's loop, and the third one is the distal part. This is the collecting duct. This is the structure of nephron. Function of nephron will tell you more elaboration of this structure. I am giving you one structure of cell. I will tell you why these pores are present to filter, to give the blood, to filter the blood, and what is the name of this structure. This structure name is very important, because here the pressure filtration will take place. Here the absorption, here the pressure filtration take place. Here the pressure filtration take place. Where? Here the pressure filtration take place. Here the reabsorption of the digested food will take place. Here the water absorption will take place. Here the sodium ion concentration absorption will take place. Here the water absorption will take place, and then the urine will come. It will goes into the urinary bladder. So I will continue the structure of nephron in the next session, and what the point I wanted to show more. I will see the last point which I just wanted to show you about the nephron. First part is proximal part, the second part is the proximal part, and second part is Henle's loop, the third part is distal part. And we will continue structure of nephron in the next session. Thank you very much, second year class, for lecture number 12.